Hey everybody, Kevin here. Welcome back to another episode of Woodworking with Mr. Kevin, and today we're going to talk about drivers. A few weeks ago I was on an install and I wanted to cut down some bar stool legs and I wanted to make a jig and all this stuff. You probably saw the video where I used this Japanese pull saw to cut the bar stool down by 4 inches, and I didn't have any drivers. So I went out and ordered some because the place that I usually buy my tools didn't have them either. And they finally showed up. So here are the drivers that I bought. They're about $300 for two. Came with 2 batteries, 2 drivers, and a charger. And I don't know why, but it comes with a purse. Oh my God. Who the hell needs a purse for their drivers? That's just silly. All right, so we're going to talk about these in a second. But first, we're going to talk about... But first, I'm going to talk to you about the history of Mr. Kevin and his drivers. Because I have every damn driver I've ever owned in my entire life.
What?
The first driver I ever owned in my entire life, drum roll please, wasn't a driver at all because they didn't have them. When I started woodworking, all we had was this, a Milwaukee hole shooter. This is the original Milwaukee hole shooter. It was made, it says Brookfield, Wisconsin, USA. It was the original. This drill is older than both of my kids, which is over 33 years old. This is what I used to use when I first started in my early 20s. And it's still around and still works. I've already ordered another cord. It'll be here in a week. My first real job I had was as a union plumber, believe it or not. And I bought this driver when they first came out because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. This is a BOSCH driver, 9.6 volt, made in the United States of America. This does not have a keyless chuck. It was keyed, and every time you wanted to take these silly little things in and out, you had to use your chuck key to get them in and out. Took forever. This thing died a long time ago. I tried charging up a battery. Batteries come out like this. Well, it didn't work. And when I was trying to take this out, this kind of exploded. And as I tried to pull the whole battery out, the whole thing went bleh. And I've got parts everywhere of my charger. So I don't think I can use that anymore. If you look at the back of the charger, right here, it says made in the USA. So BOSCH at one time was made in America. It was a great driver, worked good. You know, this is what we got back in the day. And it's kind of balanced. See, I can hold it with my finger and it stays kind of balanced. The grip is super made for people with monster hands. I got pretty big hands, but even this feels a little big compared to today's versions. And that's probably because back in the day, they didn't think of carpal tunnel, which I've had both hands operated on because of carpal tunnel. But yeah, BOSCH, my original driver with a battery. When I moved up to Northern California, I got a job in a production shop. We did woodworking and they shipped stuff all over the entire world. I had to get a better driver than that damn thing. What I did is I went out and bought me a Freud EDS 132, 13.2 volt. It was a lot stronger and has a keyless chuck right here. Speed, so you got slow speed and a fast speed. But this also had just a drill and 5 settings for the torque, and that was it. But it had this Jacobs keyless chuck, which was amazing, and it's super well balanced. Look at that. See how that is? It's just dangling on my fingers right there. It's not as wide as the other one, but it's still a little wider than the modern fangled ones. This is one of my favorite drivers. I used this driver for well over 10 or 12 years. I liked it so much I bought 2 of them. So I had an install driver and one for the home and the shop. And you can tell the difference. Just look at, this one's been all around the world. This one stayed in the shop and stayed nice. Freud made the most awesome drivers ever. They stopped making them. I couldn't get parts anymore. The batteries died. All of these parts are made in Germany. Everything's made in Germany. And I don't know if the Freud still makes drivers or not. I don't think so. But this is my favorite driver I've ever had in my entire life ever.
Really?
Almost. And I'll tell you in a minute why. I got a little driver I like even better. Freud. I liked it so much I bought 2. So in 2005, I started my own business.
Nice.
Mr. Kevin became himself a contractor back in 2005, and I had to buy a bunch of tools because I need tax write-offs. So we need tax write-offs as self-employed contractors because if we don't, we're getting taxed to death. So I went out and bought an entire set of Makita drivers, impact driver, drill driver, hammer drill, a light. Came with a big, huge suitcase with all 3 of these things. Came with this here charger, a couple of batteries, and I still use these today. This has a plastic keyless chuck, which I really don't like. I like the metal ones better. These Jacob chucks are the best I've ever used. The plastic ones, they kind of wear out after a while, but man, I tell you, Makita works great. There is one more Makita, which is my most favorite driver ever for installs, and that's this right here. Right angle impact driver, 18 volt impact driver. This thing is amazing. This weighs more than this. And that is because I think this is made in Japan. It says made in Japan. The battery was made in Japan. These two drivers are made in China, and they're lighter, and you know, Chinese stuff. And same with this. And the same with this. It's usually cheaper and cheesier, but this thing is amazing. I can get in anywhere with this thing. If you're an installer and you don't have an impact driver or something like this with the ability to get into tight places, you're missing out. Sometimes you can't get things like this in there. Enough of that. So these drivers I've had for probably 12 to 15 years. The original batteries are in here. They still work, they still charge. They hold charges forever. The light works great. It's got finish all over it because I use it when I'm spraying finish all the time. Very handy dandy to have. Everything is wonderful. But the only thing that wasn't wonderful is these were my drivers for in the shop and my install. And the last job I was doing, I left all my tools over the weekend at the job site, and I didn't have anything when I was at home, and my client wanted me to cut down those bar stools, which was in the last video, and I had to use this, and only this with my table saw and an angled hunk of wood, because I couldn't build the jig because I had no drivers. So these two drivers here are amazing. You can hook them up to Bluetooth on BOSCH's Toolbox app and make them drill a hole all by themselves without touching them. Yeah, or you put the thing in there like that, and you put it on your phone, and you say, "Hey, drill a hole." Really? No, it doesn't. This is where the module goes. But here's the kicker. You have to buy the module. They're $20 a piece. And the only thing I think it does is change the torquiness when the anti-kickback stops and how long the light stays on. And you can also check how much battery power you have. But why would you want to do that on your phone when you can just push the button back here and that'll tell you right there. So we're going to go over these two drivers right now because I took them out earlier and was playing with them. These have been around for a week and a half, and I've been on an install, and I haven't had a chance to mess with them. But we're going to do that now, and I'm going to show you all the cool things and the weird things about them. And here we go. So these two drivers right here came with 2 batteries and the charger. This charger is made in China. The batteries and the 2 bodies are made in Malaysia. They're definitely stout. I thought these were the heaviest drivers I ever had. And I weighed them. So this huge one right here and this one weighed exactly the same. So these two are about an ounce different. So they're all kind of heavy. This one's just smaller and it feels heavier than this one. They're about 4 pounds. We're going to save this one for last because it's got all the bells and whistles on it. And we're going to start with the impact driver. 18-volt impact driver. This 18-volt impact driver has a capability of Bluetooth. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. So spend $20 on Bluetooth to find out how much battery power it has. When you just push the button in the back, it'll tell you. You can change how long the light stays on with the Bluetooth, and that's about it. This impact driver uses these little bits right here, and you just pull back on the little red thing and slide it into place. Pull it out, there you go. It also does something different. It does something a lot different. Here, I'm gonna pull this towards me over here. All right, so this driver also will take a 1/2-inch socket set, and you can take the lug nuts off your car and pull that off of there because that's dangerous. It has 3 different speeds, so it's got 1 little green light, which will go slow. Push it again, this little button over here. 2 green lights means medium. 3 green lights will make it go fast. And you can push them all at the same time, watch. And that's how I break things. 3 speeds. I don't know why you'd want Bluetooth on there, but you can have it. Like I said, you can check your battery levels with the Bluetooth. You can also change how long the light stays on, turn the light on and off, or whatever. So we're going to do a screw test here in a minute with the old impact driver, because they're both 18 volt, and we'll see how it works. All of my old drivers have 5 torque settings. 5 torque settings and a drill. So this one right here doesn't have just 5, it doesn't have just 10, it's got 20. And when you use it, it'll torque out and actually stop. It just stops. Like if you're screwing it into plywood, you won't go all the way through the plywood. The torque is set on 5. Here we go. And it just stopped. This one, when you do it, it'll just go on forever, right? It never stops. This will just stop. And that's it. Now if you go backwards, let's see. Going backwards, it'll just keep torquing out. See, that's in reverse. Going forward, it won't, which is very cool. You can set it to drill, which will just drill. There's no stopping it. And then there's the hammer drill, which you can drill into concrete with, right? Pretty cool. So these buttons right here are in a really good spot because you actually have to reach up with your thumb to get them, or your finger like this, all right? See, they're out of the way when you're drilling. The Makita is right there. So when I'm drilling, I'm always hitting this, and I'm always hitting it the wrong direction. I'll have it set to tighten up a screw, and I'll put my hand down and screw it in, and I'll hit the damn button, which is super loose and right in the way. It's the only drawback I found about the Makita. The direction button is kind of too low. And it's the same way with this guy right here. The impact driver, it's right where I hold everything. I mean, my finger's covering it. So yeah, if you're looking for drivers, make sure you try them out in the store before you buy them. I knew this was a problem when I got it because I was fiddling with it in the damn store when I bought it, and I'm like, that's gonna be a problem, but it was a whole package for like 300 bucks with a light for free and an extra battery. So yeah, I couldn't beat that. These older drivers, that kept them down here, so you actually had to move your hand around. See where that is? See how that is? It was kind of awkward to do. It wasn't super fast and speedy. And these are up high enough where I actually have to raise my thumb up, which is good. So I'm not always changing the direction on accident. This guy, you can't because it's way the hell down here. Anyway, that's enough of that. See how that's all white? That's all skin for me doing stuff like that. I couldn't figure it out until I cleaned that off, blew it off with air, and then I tightened it up, and it's actually taking the skin off because that thing's still pretty sharp. Very grippy. I'm gonna take this out. Oh my God. Ugh. And we're gonna put this paddle bit in right here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna jam this in here like this, so it'll lock it in place, right? We're gonna lock this into place here, and we're gonna see how this works. You ready? Let's see what happens. See it flash? Do it again. See it? So it's telling you that the anti-kickback device is working. It's all white. Flash, 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 flash. If it was medium, which would probably happen sooner, it'd be slow, red, and white. And if it was earlier, the earlier setting, it would go red and white on and off. But it's amazing that it works like that. I've been whacked in the head by this drill so many times. I'm drilling a hole and it catches, or I hit a screw and it goes whack inside a cabinet, you know, because you're installing stuff. That hurt, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that'll keep you from busting your wrist if you're drilling a hole somewhere and you hit a screw and you know how it twists you. That'll keep you from twisting your wrist out of position. Hopefully, and that's kind of a good thing. I got a piece of cherry right here. I just want to try a few things here. So we can drill a hole, right? That works beautiful. So what happens, it's set on drill right now. What happens if I push down really hard as I'm drilling? You think it'll stop? Let's give it a shot. Ready? It does. Yep. So that's either to help you not break your wrist or to keep the motor from burning out. And it's probably the motor, not so much your wrist. So if the motor was to stay on while you constantly give it pressure and it just keep trying to turn and turn and turn, one, it would hurt your wrist after a while, but it would also overheat the motor and probably fry it. It's a brushless motor, so it's probably not good for it. Drill hole, push, stops. That's pretty good. All right, we're gonna set it to the torque. I'm gonna keep it on 20 and we'll see what happens now. Yeah, see that? Stops. Let's set it to hammer drill. See what it does. Okay, here we go. It makes a pile of noise. And that's enough of that. All right, so that was pretty good. It drills amazing. I think this drill is actually faster than this one is. On high speed, they seem the same. Lower speed, this one seems faster. I'm just looking at them, so I don't know. I'm doing the sound test. Stereo. Let's just clamp this guy down on here and put some screws in it and see what happens. So let's start with the impact drivers. We'll see if we can drive a screw in with this impact driver on low. We'll turn the light on because it's always fun. So we'll start over here. That's a square drive bit. Why isn't it working? Because you put a square drive bit in there. All right, here we go. God, here we go. Ready to go. Yeah, so 400 years later, we'll get it in the hole. Let's speed that up a little bit. Put it in the middle setting now. Medium size. Ready? Here we go. And it drove it right into the maple like magic. We're just gonna leave that one there. Let's set it on high now. You see the 3 lights on there? And here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. no problem. Let's try this guy. Okay, here we go, ready? Same exact thing. A little slower, but yeah, comparable. We can drive a bolt. If we put this guy on here, just put that on there. But the hard part is getting this on, especially new. See, that's brand new. Put that on there. You pull out spark plugs at 900 miles an hour, or you can slow it down a little bit. But getting this off, so that could be a little bit of a problem. I know they come off because I got them off before. There we go. I used a file and just pried it off of there. There's a little O-ring around this thing. It's brand freaking new. These sockets are pretty damn new. This one's really new and it's not broken in yet. So if you're gonna use something old like this guy right here because it seems to work better. You can put it on there. This thing is probably as old as I am. So you can speed wrench off all your spark plugs or your lug nuts or whatever. The BOSCH 1800C. This is amazing. I like it a lot. And I really like this. You just push a button and say, oh, how much battery do I have? And there it is. Now let's do this guy. All right, so I have this torque to 20. Let's see what it does. Let's see, it stopped right in there. Yeah, that's it. Man, that's something else. Okay, so now I'm gonna drill a hole. Damn thing's dull. Now we're gonna torque it to 20 and see if that'll actually seat that in there or not. Probably not, but let's see. See how it works. Flush right to the top. It didn't dive in at all. So now we're gonna set it to drill. Take it out a little bit. Let's see what happens now. Yeah, it buried it. I don't know if you can see that or not. It went in like a good 1/4 of an inch. Give you $1 if you touch that. So there it is. My brand new drivers. All the drivers I've had before. So here's the newest set of drivers. So these two I'm gonna use now in the shop. They're gonna be my full-time in the shop drivers. These guys right here are gonna be my install drivers. This one does both because I need this one for both. And all the old timers are dead. Like all good things, everything comes to an end. These served me well for over 10 years. This one worked good for almost 10 years also as well. I don't even know what year it was made. I tried to find out, I couldn't figure it out. This is made with Swiss and American parts. Assembled in the USA, I could see that right there. So if anybody knows what the 3050 VSR 9.6 volt, when this was made, let me know. Comment below, because I don't really know. So here's all the drivers I've ever owned in my entire life. So if you're ever gonna go out and buy a driver, make sure you play with it for a while. You drive a few screws with it, give it the old feel job, you know. See how it feels in your hand, see how the batteries come apart. You know, you don't have to go out and buy fancy dancy drivers. You just buy whatever's good for you. Buy a DeWalt, buy a Milwaukee. Try them, see how they feel in your hand. They might be a lot lighter than these guys are. I'm a contractor, I use these tools for my living, and I'm gonna buy whatever the hell I wanna buy, and that's that. It's like, okay, I don't care what they cost, because I can write them off on my taxes. And if you're not somebody who can do that, buying a $300 driver might be a bad idea. Technology in these things is amazing. I don't know why they're Bluetooth, but whatever. But there are a lot of safety features in this I like. We're gonna see how long the batteries last. Like I said, these batteries have been around for 15 years. They still charge well, and they still work. Unbelievable. Unlike these, which are all dead because they haven't been used in 15 years. But anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Have an awesome day. Anybody want a purse?
Subscribe now.
Drill thing. The drill thing with jigger bobber. I'm gonna take off my lug nuts. You don't even need to do anything. You just gotta be able to figure out how to get that on there. Am I still rolling? I am still rolling. Good golly. And uh-oh. Yeah, don't do that, could hit you in the head, it might hurt. Look at my driver. I could change the way the light bulb works. It'll stay on for 2 minutes instead of 2 seconds. It'll stay on for 10 seconds instead of like 5 seconds. I could find out what the power is on my phone instead of just pushing the button in the back and looking at it. Okay, metal. And for me doing that so much, this turned white and I couldn't figure out, why is it doing that? It's taking the skin off my hand and putting it on this metal thing. Damn it all. You see that hole? It's way down in there.